There's one question that pretty much connects all of us, no matter where we come from. And it's this: why haven't my prayers been answered? It's a question that can just echo in the quietest parts of your day, right? Well, today we're going to dive into that, and we're going to do it with the honesty it really, really deserves. And that feeling, it's so real, it's heavy. When you've been asking and hoping and just waiting, that silence can feel deafening, can it? It can make you feel totally isolated, like you're the only one who just isn't getting through. But I want you to know you are not alone in feeling that way.
Okay, so for this, we're just gonna skip the easy, cliche answers, the ones, oh, God's time is the best. And look, while there's truth to that, it doesn't always help when your soul is just restless, right? So we're gonna aim for something deeper, something that actually gets to the heart of what's going on.
All right, to start, we've got to understand something. When we ask this big question, it's not just about, a silent heaven. It's also about some really personal stuff, about ourselves. It's about the fears that start bubbling up during that long wait.
Take a look at these. Do any of them ring a bell? Because these are the inner doubts that just love to creep in. They start questioning our faith, our worth, our entire connection to God. And honestly, these fears can make you scared to even try praying again. So, let's just face them head on, shall we?
Okay, so now let's get into it. We're going to explore 4 deeper reasons for what feels like an unanswered prayer. And this is the key thing to remember. Unanswered doesn't mean unheard. A delay doesn't automatically mean a denial. There's usually something much, much deeper going on.
All right, reason number 1, timing. And look, this isn't about some vague, mysterious cosmic clock. No, this is about intentional preparation. It's this idea that the waiting period itself is a crucial part of the whole process. It's designed to shape you, to mold you into the person who can actually handle the very thing you're praying for.
A perfect example of this, just look at the story of Joseph. All he was praying for was something pretty simple: to get out of a prison he didn't even belong in. But instead of getting out right away, what happened? More delays. Why? Because that waiting period was forging him into something more. Think about it. If Joseph had been released earlier, sure, he would have been free, but he would not have been ready to basically run an entire nation. The delay literally built his capacity to lead. And that suggests a pretty powerful idea. If God gives us what we're asking for too early, it might be so big that it would just collapse because we're not yet strong enough to handle it.
Okay, reason number 2 is protection. And we've all been there, haven't we? We pray for something we're absolutely sure is good for us. That job, that relationship, that big opportunity. But sometimes that no, or even just a not yet, is actually a shield.
This really just shows the huge difference in perspective. From where we stand, we see a closed door, and we feel rejection, we feel frustration. But from God's vantage point, that same exact door might be blocking a path that leads to some hidden danger or unforeseen heartbreak, consequences we just can't see. So what we're calling a delay, God might be calling protection.
Okay, reason number 3 is a concept called spiritual resistance. So in the story of Daniel, an angel shows up and tells him, hey, your prayer was heard on the very first day, but the answer got held up. Basically, it was fighting through opposition in the spiritual realm. And this suggests that some prayers, especially the really big ones, the ones that break generational curses or shift an entire atmosphere, they require us to be persistent, not because God doesn't want to answer, but because the breakthrough itself is pushing against some serious resistance.
And number 4, this one is so important. It's the principle of alignment. See, prayer isn't just a celestial vending machine where we ask for stuff. It's also about us adjusting our own lives so we're in harmony with the very thing we're asking for. Just look at these examples. It's common sense, really. You can't pray for financial stability and then go be totally reckless with your money. You can't pray for a healthy relationship while you're still caught up in unhealthy patterns. It's not that the prayer is being denied, it's that we aren't aligned with the answer yet. If God gave it to us now, it would just be wasted.
Okay, so with those 4 reasons in mind, let's kind of pivot a little bit. Let's tackle some of those harder, more vulnerable questions, the ones we usually carry around in silence while we're waiting.
And this is a tough one. Does it ever feel like you have to completely hit rock bottom before any help shows up? So let's ask it straight. Is failure a requirement for God to step in?
The short answer is no, absolutely not. God doesn't get any joy out of watching us fail. But sometimes He lets us fail so we can finally see the limits of our own strength.
I mean, think about Peter. He genuinely believed with all his heart that he would never deny Jesus. He had to fail to realize he was just relying on his own willpower, not on a deeper faith. And that failure, it became the very foundation for his real leadership. It wasn't a punishment, it was a teacher.
And then there's the other big one, the question that can really haunt you in the waiting. Was all this suffering, was it really necessary? Couldn't God have done it an easier way?
The honest answer? Yeah, he could have. But think about it like this. You can give a 10-year-old the keys to a sports car, right? But without the maturity and the training to handle it, that gift becomes a danger. God isn't just interested in giving you a quick, momentary blessing. He's building for longevity. He wants to give you something you can actually sustain for a lifetime. So the process isn't just about preparing the blessing for you, it's about preparing you for the blessing.
So, if we accept that this waiting period isn't passive, that it's actually an active, purposeful time, well, the next logical question is, how do we get through it? How do you wait well? Let's get into some practical steps.
So what does waiting well actually look like? Well, first, just be gut-level honest with God. Tell him you're frustrated, tell him you're doubting. Second, take a hard look at your own patterns. Are your actions actually lining up with what you're praying for? Third, stay consistent. Keep showing up even when you don't feel like it. Delays are often a test of our commitment. And last, number 4, stay expectant. You gotta keep your eyes open for the small signs of what's to come.
And that last point about being expectant, it's absolutely crucial. Remember the story of Elijah? He's praying for rain after this long, brutal drought. And at first, what does he see? Nothing. But a tiny little cloud, the size of a man's hand. It seemed like nothing. But that tiny, almost insignificant sign was the beginning of the massive downpour he had prayed for. So whatever you do, don't dismiss the small beginnings.
Okay, so as we start to wrap this up, let's really land on the most powerful way to reframe this whole experience. This waiting period, it is not a penalty. Think of it more like a promotion in disguise. You are not being punished, you are being prepared.
Just think about Hannah in the Bible. She prayed for a child for years, and the wait was just agonizing. But when the answer finally came, it wasn't just any child. It was Samuel, who would become one of the greatest prophets in history. Her long, painful wait was directly connected to the incredible significance of what was coming.
And so this is the final thought I really want to leave you with. That space between your prayer and the answer, that silence, that waiting period, it is not empty space. It's a construction zone. It's the sacred time where God is building the version of you that can actually sustain the promise. So if you are in that space right now, please take heart. You have not been forgotten. You are being made ready.